If you're just joining us, this is Entertainment News on Channels Television, and you're just in time to catch a special feature on Nigerian international fashion designer Chief Odina, whose works have been celebrated in many fashion cities, including at the Australian version of the prestigious Mercedes Fashion Week. Come with us.
Chief Odina is a Nigerian fashion designer that has worked in different fashion capitals of the world. First a graduate of economics, Odina's love for fashion saw him gradually break into the fashion industry from fashion retail and self-teaching until enrolling into the London College of Fashion.
At the time when I started in the fashion industry, it was a very interesting time because there were a lot of changes happening. We had just come off the back of, it was sort of the mid to late 80s. And during that period, a lot of the manufacturing in the UK was moving to places where it could be produced a lot more cheaper. This was the beginning of the advent of what we see happening with China at the moment. So this is at the start of it. Countries like Turkey, India, Bangladesh, this is when they all started taking on a lot of production from countries like the UK. It was a very transitional time because a lot of fashion companies fell because they didn't have the finances to actually produce their clothes abroad for a cheaper rate.
Odina rose through the ranks from working a retail store to fashion photography, interning at major fashion houses like Virgin Clothing to finally winning industry honors. He has featured in the famous Mercedes Fashion Week, and having spent a considerable number of years in Nigeria as a teenager, it was inevitable that he will eventually return to the country. He did that in 2012 as a creative director of the Nigerian Fashion Week.
When you are from somewhere, you cannot get away from why you love that place. And like I said earlier, my original inspiration is from Nigeria, having grown up here. When you've spent enough time seeing an industry like the industry in London, America, Australia, when you've seen how they've developed, it's taken a process. One of the best challenges I found coming back to Nigeria was that we were in a process, but it needed people to be challenged enough to want to move us out of that, where we were, and into a different place, like with anything. Which, from a general perspective, was understanding that Nigeria as a culture, as a nation, we're developing. Devoid of our faults, we're a beautiful nation. And I think it just requires people to want to make the sacrifice and say, okay, I'm gonna stand on the front line and make a stand for something, because that's all it takes. It only takes one man, and hopefully people follow. It's like the saying, evil prevails if good men do nothing.
Being an independent denim wear designer, Chief Odina has always pushed the boundaries of the orthodox. Over the years, he has found a genuine love for African fabrics, and his clothes are now defined by his love for these fabrics.
One of the first things that always catches me about a lot of our fabrics is the vibrance. There is a vibrance which is unseen in a lot of fabrics around the world in terms of textures, in terms of utilization as well. And utilization is very important. When you look at the history of our clothing, be it our fabrics or how we wear them, they've always been done for purposes, be it ceremonial or for just normal living. And that's been the same anywhere around the world. That's always the same. However, in a Nigerian context, what is very different is that every fabric, every color, every texture tells a story. What is really funny is that in the same way like in Europe, like in anywhere in the world, you have classic fabrics. So denim is a classic fabric. Cotton is a classic fabric. There are some fabrics that come from parts of Scotland, like tweed. There are fabrics that come from classic places like Mexico. These fabrics are marketed around the world. They're marketed around the world because they've been taken out of their natural context and been shown to an international world. Ours has not done that. So ours are only still used for us, which is good. But we wear European clothing. And we wear European clothing because it's been sold to us. So then bids the question, why is it we can't sell ours to them? One of the things that I always do with 90% of my clothing is their ability to be taken directly from the catwalk, or in fact directly from my pen. So from when I'm putting my pen on the paper, and as I begin the design process, so if I look at a set of banana leaves or the water, as I begin the process, however extravagant it's going to be, I have thought of as many scenarios which quote unquote could be awkward and eliminate them. But in eliminating them, I make sure I do not take away from the beauty of what the final garment is going to be. So sometimes you come up with an idea which is very extravagant, you know, it's a dress which has wings and it has butterflies and has all these different things. It would look good on the catwalk. It would look good on the red carpet. But how is a woman going to get in and out of a car with it?
Often referred to as a slave to beauty after one of his numerous collections, Chip Odina continues to push the envelope not only for fashion, but specifically for African fashion.